As a man, how often do you wear feminine leaning fragrances like Nishane 100 Silent Ways? Now, I enjoy the masculine smelling fragrances, like, I love wearing Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé, or even another Nishane fragrance, Hassivat, I would say, is a much more masculine leaning fragrance than 100 Silent Ways. There are some fragrances that you just remember what you were doing, or there's a memory tied to what you were doing when you first smell a fragrance. So, for example, with Parfums de Marly Carlisle and Louis Vuitton Imagination, I can distinctly in my head now remember what I was doing when I smelt those fragrances. I can remember literally the exact moment that I smelt those fragrances, and that's because either there's a really interesting or happy memory associated to it, or it's because the fragrance impressed you and you found it interesting enough that you just remember exactly what you were doing. Now for me, 100 Silent Ways is one of those fragrances. For me, I remember exactly what I was doing when I wore this fragrance for the first time, or when I tried it for the first time. And this does have some sentimental value to me because it's one of the first niche fragrances I got in my collection. I believe I bought 3 Nishane fragrances at the same time, this, Hassivat and Fan Your Flames, and I just remember what I was doing when I wore this. It was a lovely June evening, and I remember being in my garden and smelling this fragrance and being really impressed and almost mesmerized by how it smells. So this is a feminine leaning fragrance because it has some notes like peach, white flowers, and the overall powdery, smooth, velvety composition just give a slightly feminine leaning profile. I don't know if you're a man watching this, how you feel about wearing fragrances like that. Personally, I don't really care. I probably wouldn't wear something like Carolina Herrera Good Girl because for me, it's a very juvenile, almost teenager girl smelling fragrance, and it's not something that I enjoy. However, 100 Silent Ways doesn't give me that impression. This is the perfect balance of peach, white florals, and this really delicate sandalwood note with a vanilla note. This vanilla note in here almost makes the white flowers and the peach smell like they're caramelized. So it gives off this, not burning sugar exactly, but this almost caramelized peach with these white flowers. And I've never smelt anything quite like this. It's the smoothness and the velvety feeling that you get from this, which I think smells really wonderful. And I love the smell and just how it makes me feel. I think this smells, I know it's quite a sweet, fruity fragrance, so typically I would say this is a good cold weather fragrance, but this 100 Silent Ways really makes me think of the summer. Now that might be because of when I first wore it in June, a lovely summer evening like I explained a minute ago, and I've got that memory associated with it. But I think the brightness of it, the peach, the fruitiness, it doesn't have anything dark, and the sweetness is not overwhelming, so it doesn't make me think of cold weather. I think of a summertime, spring, summer evening when I smell 100 Silent Ways. So 100 Silent Ways does change as it opens up to when it dries down. The opening stays really strong throughout most of the fragrance. So when you smell like the mandarin and the peach, typically a fruity note, especially the mandarin, will fade quite quickly. However, with 100 Silent Ways, it lasts quite long into the dry down. So when you've had this on your skin for a while, a few hours, you'll still smell the fruity notes, the peach, the mandarin. But what will happen is the white floral notes, so jasmine, gardenia, whatever the floral notes are in here, it will elevate those stronger. So as it dries down, you'll start to keep smelling the white flowery notes, the powderiness, that will come on thicker and stronger as it dries down. The vanilla just stays in the background. Like I said, it smells like a sort of caramel-like vanilla, and it really smells very similar all the way through. Extrait de parfum concentration, meaning high concentration of perfume oils. Now when you spray it on your hand, I'm going to do it now, what will happen is as it dries down, you'll start to get this almost shiny residue look and feel on your hand. I'm going to try and show you now. I don't know if you could see it, it might not show at all, but what will happen is you'll get this sort of thick oily presence on your hand, and that is because the perfume oils are quite highly concentrated in here. And what happens when you have high concentration of perfume oils is that the fragrances can smell different on person to person. So I recommend really sampling this before you buy it. We do sell samples on my website visionaryfragrances.com, UK and EU shipping. But this is a fragrance because it's expensive, a niche fragrance, and because it will change person to person. I recommend sampling it before you buying it. Performance on this, extrait de parfum concentration, sweet vanilla, some fruity notes. On me, that kind of fragrance always lasts a long time, but typically vanilla fragrances always last a long time. This is no different. gives me really good performance, and I wouldn't really want anything more. After like 8 hours, you can still smell it quite strongly on your hand, on your skin, wherever you spray it. I don't want any longer performance than that. So when does 100 Silent Ways really suit? For me, I wear this either for myself when I want to smell something really delicate and smooth, and that's how this smells to me. If I could sort of paint you a picture of how this smells, the color of this is really white. It's a white linen or silk sheet, and on that silk sheet you've got these cut white flowers, very ripe, very blossoming white flowers, and then you've got these segments of peach, juicy peach and mandarin around it. That's how this smells to me. Delicate, smooth, but beautiful. And I think even as a man who enjoys smelling masculine smelling fragrances, this I enjoy wearing, and I'm always going to enjoy wearing 100 Silent Ways. Alternatives. Are there any alternatives? I'm sure there are. I haven't tried many feminine leaning fragrances, and I haven't got any in my collection, but I haven't actually tried anything that comes close to this in terms of the peach smell, the really smooth vanilla and white flowery smell. I haven't tried anything that smells similar to this but beats it in terms of its smell and performance. I think this is really in a league of its own, and I do recommend you check out 100 Silent Ways if you like the way I described it.